Well, it's 3 o'clock. Time for an update on Tropical Storm Debby moving into the Carolinas, out of our hair by tomorrow afternoon, but still seeing a lot of flooding concern for the next couple of hours. Hence why we have issued a weather impact alert day for today and the front half of the day on Friday. What you can expect: torrential rain and flooding to continue for the next several hours into tonight and early tomorrow morning. What you can do: be alert, make sure you're taking those warnings seriously, and watch for flooded roads while you are out on the roadways, and also just avoid any flood prone areas. Debby right now, heavy rain continuing in sheets this evening, sometimes having a little bit more of a break between some of those bands, but still seeing some wind gusts between 35 and 40 miles per hour. Starting to die down though these next few hours. Debby has been weakening, which is very good considering it has been bringing lots and lots of rain. Rare high flood risk is in for the Piedmont throughout this evening, and that's going to continue for the next several hours. Winds are going to die down this evening also and into the overnight hours. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm Debby and the 2 o'clock advisory. Winds are sustained at around 40 miles per hour. Still technically called a tropical storm. It's moving northwest at around 10 miles per hour, picking up a little bit more speed in its forward motion, meaning be out of here a little bit sooner than we first anticipated. As of right now, the eye of it is around 55 miles east-southeast of Charlotte, North Carolina, and it will continue to push northeast and out of our hair by the time we're into tomorrow afternoon. Most of those clouds, rain, and wind gusts will be out of here by early tomorrow morning, although still could see a couple of lingering clouds just from how enormous this system is. Even while the center is up here in Virginia, still could be seeing lots of moisture down here in the Triad. So we'll be keeping eyes on this and keep you updated on what the cone looks like. As for a time lapse of Buffalo Creek earlier on this morning, this was way down, and you can see by around 3 o'clock it's gone down just a little bit with a little bit less rain just in the last hour or two. That's how these systems are. You can have lots of heavy rain, flooding, and then a little bit of a break in between some of those outer bands, especially as Tropical Storm Debby continues to suck in a little bit of dry air and continues to weaken across the Carolinas here these next several hours. I wouldn't be surprised within the next hour or two if it is now known as a depression, but we'll keep you updated. As of right now, it is a tropical storm. Rainfall today between 3 to 4 inches in some spots, depending on where you are at. As you can see, heavier bands hit Greensboro, almost 3 3/4 of an inch, almost 4 inches in Burlington, around 2 1/4 in Asheboro. Not much in some other places like in the foothills, where we're almost at 1 1/2 in Wilkesboro. A little bit over 3 though in Mount Airy, and more is coming in the next several hours as Debby continues to push toward the northwest. I'm expecting an additional 2 to 3 inches more. So that's something to think about for the next several hours. Maybe you haven't gone out on the roads, but that more rain is on the way. High wind gusts so far today: 52 in Piedmont Triad Airport, 46 in Winston-Salem. These were all more so this morning while the system was approaching the area, and we've been seeing those also die down as it has been gaining a little bit more dry air into the eye and becoming a little bit less disorganized and a weaker system overall. The good news is, as this system pushes toward the northeast, we're going to be seeing less and less not only rain but also wind gusts. Notice by tomorrow afternoon, wind gusts could be between around 15 to 20 miles per hour, at most 25, which is where we're about at right now at 3 o'clock right now this afternoon. Heading into Saturday though, not nearly as much of a problem, maybe 10 to 15, but that's pretty normal again for this time of year. And the sunshine will also be returning for the upcoming weekend. Temperatures right now a little bit cool in the middle and upper 70s with a little bit of a break in that rain. We're able to grow just a little bit in those temperature highs. So 74 right now in Winston-Salem and in Lexington and in Reedsville, 76 in Greensboro, 77 in Burlington. But I'm sure we'll get cooler as we head into the next few hours with more bands of rainfall on the way. Remember, today is a weather impact alert day. Make sure you are staying cautious, and of course, taking these warnings seriously. Next couple of hours, downpours and flooding going to continue to be a concern, especially for this afternoon and into this evening. I'm expecting middle upper 70s at best, with rain chances starting to taper off, especially into the night tonight. And we do have part of a day for weather impact alert for Friday. At least that's the first part of the day where we're watching Tropical Storm Debby move out of the area. And what that means is it's going to start taking that moisture away with it, those gusty winds. By the time we're into the afternoon, a remnant shower or two is going to be possible, but Starting to see less and less clouds toward the evening, with rain chances also lowering for the afternoon, maybe even seeing much less of a flood concern by Friday night and especially for the weekend. So this is what you can expect throughout the day today and into early tomorrow morning. Tropical rain is going to continue with some of those gusty winds. Heavy rains in total may dump up to 3 to 6 inches. And we've already seen today the most rain that we've seen in a one-day total in over 4 years, and we have more rain to come. So that could even change and become an even longer amount of time. Flooding is happening right now and will continue to keep happening for the next several hours. So make sure you're charging your devices, of course, and keeping an eye on the radar and keeping up with us as we give you updates on the hour every hour. Satellite and radar right now of Tropical Storm Debby. More bands beginning to make their way into the triad. All of the area under a flash flood warning. Alamance, Davidson, Guilford, and Randolph. If you're not in a warning, it's safe to assume that you are at least in a watch from this tropical storm. As you can see, some of these bands are starting to break up, especially near the eye, which shows that the system is weakening. It doesn't have a lot of moisture to pull from. When it's over the Atlantic or in the Gulf, it kind of thrives and pulls fuel from those warm ocean waters. When it's not over the water, it's very clear that it will just dry out fairly quickly, even though it's dumped significant amounts of rainfall over us. You could see in between some of these bands some time of dry time you could see, but for the most part, the bands are continuing over the next couple of hours. A better look at it here from our radar. Some of these bands could be a little bit heavier for the region. The good news is the main threat is going to continue to be flooding, whereas toward our east, they have to worry a little bit more about storm surge, more damaging winds. I'm talking 60-mile-per-hour plus, and even the threat of isolated tornadoes. Here's what some of the storm reports have said over the last 6 hours. This one in Graham, several reports of flash flooding in Alamance County, including multiple roads closed and also yards have been flooded across the area. Yadkinville also reported numerous trees down. That's in Yadkin County. So that's another thing with these gusty winds. They can also blow down some power lines, some trees that can cause issues not only for power outages, but also when you're driving. So when you're driving, you just have to stay cautious, not only for the ponding along the side of the roads, the flood prone areas, but also trees that could come down while you are driving. Another storm report showing a tree was down at the intersection of Smith Lane and Welcome Baptist Church Road in Mount Airy, and as a result, both lanes of traffic were blocked. And I want you to take a second and look at the amount of storm reports within the last 6 hours. Every single circle you see is some sort of storm report labeled up here. Toward our east, there have been actually a couple of reports within the last 12 hours of tornado and funnel clouds, but for us in the triad, it's mainly wind damage and flooding concerns continuing for the next couple of hours. And here's that flash flood warning continuing for this afternoon all the way until, all the way until around 4:15. And the flood watch is going to continue all the way until midnight on Saturday. So that goes to show you how these impacts will continue with the flooding. Even if it is happening right now, the impacts of flooding will continue for the next day or so. And here's that flash flooding risk, a 4 out of 4. And just to let you know, we never see this for the triad area. This is a very rare occurrence that we have seen this. Hasn't been here since our last tropical system, in fact. And that means flooding is going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen into this afternoon and into the evening. Lowering to a 1 out of 4 for the day on Friday and into the weekend. Don't have anything to worry about in terms of a flood risk. Tornado risk is well to our east, although a little corner of Alamance is included. The main threat is going to stay along our east coastline and along the coast, as it's in that northeast quadrant where we see a little bit more spin-ups likelier to happen. This is Debby looks like from space. Let's go to where we could see a little bit more toward daytime, but a lot of cloud coverage is what I'm trying to emphasize here. So while this system is going to continue to push toward the northwest, cloud coverage may still well be in our area for the day on Friday before we start to see some more peaks of sunshine for the upcoming weekend as it furthers away from the Carolinas. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm Debby. Winds are sustained at around 40 miles per hour. It's moving northwest at around 10 miles per hour, which is quicker than it was moving this morning. So it's picking up some forward speed. By tomorrow morning, looks like it's going to be for the most part out of North Carolina, especially by the evening. So until then, just have to keep being cautious, especially with the flooding concern across our area. Winds will also begin to die down tonight and especially by tomorrow morning. The good news, sunshine is coming back for the upcoming weekend. We're back into the middle 80s, lower 80s for the day on Monday. Still in the lower 80s, isolated shower chances by the middle of next week.